Daenerys Targaryen often thinks back to the House with the Red Door whenever she's struggling with something. The House with the Red Door and the Lemon Tree was the one place that she was ever happy in her entire life. It was the home that she had in Braavos, the longest she ever stayed in one place, and it is her kind of lotus stone, her true north of what home really is and where she would like to be. However, there's some mystery to this because the House with the Red Door is in Braavos, and she specifically describes it as having a lemon tree in the front yard. But if you look at the map of Essos and where Braavos is located, Braavos is in the far north. It is a cold, damp place where lemon trees do not grow. And this isn't just like a real world, definition of how lemon trees grow. No, in universe, there are multiple instances of different people in Braavos complaining about the cold, complaining about the damp, complaining about the lack of trees and vegetation because nothing can grow there. And so this has led to a lot of theorizing about the true nature of the House with the Red Door and the Lemon Tree. Was it in Braavos? Was it somewhere else? Was it possibly in Dorne, a place where we know that citrus grows? Or does it not really matter at all? Is this more of a metaphorical piece in the series? Well, let's talk about it. For context, according to what we know, Daenerys and Viserys were brought to the House with the Red Door by Sir Willem Darry. Sir Willem Darry is the Targaryen loyalist knight who smuggled the two kids away from Dragonstone as Robert Baratheon's army was, closing in around it with their ships after Queen Rhaella, Daenerys' mother, had died in childbirth, and he is the reason that they survived. And so he took them away, and according to, the information we're given, according to memories, they went to Braavos, where he basically put them up in this house where they all lived together. And they stayed there for 5 years. That is the longest Daenerys ever stayed in one place, from a very young age, and she describes it as her happiest memories. This is, of course, a time when things were a lot simpler for Daenerys and her brother Viserys. Being under the protection of Sir Willem Darry, they lived in this very nice house with servants, and it was good while it was there. They were living, under this knight's protection, and because things were relatively stable, Viserys being younger and more stable at the time was a lot more pleasant to Daenerys, and so she could just, go around living her life in peace. Unfortunately, eventually Willem Darry would die, and in the aftermath of that, the servants around the place would start taking what little money they could that was around the House with the Red Door, and then eventually kick the children out, leading to their lives as basically beggar children for the next decade or so. Or closer to 8 years, I think. But regardless of where she goes, when Daenerys thinks of home, she thinks of the House with the Red Door and the lemon tree out front, just because that is her symbol of stability, the only time that she's ever truly felt it. Because of the inconsistencies we know from the description of this house, its location, and its features, there is debate about whether it's even in Braavos in the first place. And one of the big theories is that it isn't in Braavos. She just was under that impression because, she was young and you could tell her anything and she would have believed it. And in actuality, it was in Dorne. I personally don't know how I feel about that because I guess I just don't know why or how. That would have been such a dangerous thing for them to do in Dorne, to basically, hide these Targaryen children for 5 years, right under the nose of all the other great houses. It just seems kind of reckless. I also don't think it really makes sense with what we know of the Dornish relationship with the Targaryens, which is Doran Martell had a secret pact with Willem Darry, the one who smuggled the Targaryen children out, to basically marry them off to each other. So Viserys was supposed to marry his daughter Arianne, and then she would become the queen when Viserys was restored to the crown. And I think Daenerys was maybe supposed to marry Quentyn, or it might have just been Viserys and Arianne. I might be forgetting. But regardless, the whole need for that secret pact is because, eventually they were going to bring the two sides back together and then enact it. But if the Targaryens are just there the whole time, I don't know, why is there a literal signed pact signed by Oberyn Martell and Willem Darry? That just feels a little weird. And then we get into even like more cuckoo bananas territory, where people think that, because it's in Dorne, and then there's the association with like the Tower of Joy, which is where Lyanna Stark died, and other people might have been born. Maybe there is a connection, and all of the secret children were born in one place. But hey, what if the House with the Red Door means that Daenerys isn't actually the child of Aerys Targaryen and Rhaella, that she's actually, let's see, Ashara Dane and Ned Starks, Rhaegar and Lyanna, like her and Jon are twins. I swear there's like another secret pairing. Probably like Ashara and Brandon Stark, Ned's older brother who died. I'm sure there's even more. Maybe she's someone else's child instead of, the person who it makes logical sense for her to be the child of, that influences her whole arc and what she's trying to do in contrast to her family. But whatever, we're having fun. I know people love to speculate with those kinds of theories. I even just did a theory video last night. So like, I get it. But I just like, I don't see the value in a lot of these. I don't see like what it adds to the story, what it adds to her character arc. Because that's, as I've said before, that's kind of my like a barometer. Like, what is this doing for the character? How is it moving their story forward? How is it changing them in a like perceptible way that, has some oomph to it? And I don't really see any of that, pertaining to her. And that's why I'm of the opinion that the House with the Red Door has a bit of a subtler reveal. And even that is probably not going to be the main point, because I think the main point is going to be metaphorical. But the subtle reveal that I'm assuming it's going to be, which I think a lot of the internet also agrees with me, I'm not claiming this as my own theory, is that the house is in Braavos, but it is like specifically in the Sea Lord of Braavos' palace, which is a big place owned by a rich person who can have like greenhouse type things there because he can maintain it. The Sea Lord of Braavos also makes sense because he is the one who witnessed the signature between Willem Darry and Oberyn Martell. He was the witness for it, so it would make sense that as the witness, he was the one housing them at the time. Not to mention, at the time that she's having this memory, it is the like beginning to middle-ish of the long summer that has been going on for a long time, in the main series. So the combination of the fact that we know that like the Sea Lord's palace does have the capability of having like some of the only plant life in Braavos, combined with the fact that it was like the long summer, so this is like probably the best time that could happen in Braavos, I think is just more likely what this technically is in the story. But on a deeper level, the House with the Red Door is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for Dany's like longing for home. That is the one thing she doesn't have. That is the thing that she's devoting all of her energy to kind of like fixing for other people since she can't have it. In my opinion, Daenerys' arc has a lot to do with like finding family and home in general. Like that is why she latches so hard to the Dothraki, because this is like a place that validates her, a group that validates her, and brings her a level of peace as she experienced at the House of the Red Door. And so this is a metaphor. This is a metaphor for what she longs for, what she desperately wants more than anything. In her very last chapter of the published books that we have, she's hallucinating as she's probably having she's losing a child, and it's very sad because she like hallucinates. I'm trying to remember, I think it's Jorah, and she's like telling him like, I just want to like marry Dario and I want to live in the House with the Red Door and just have a family, and that's all I really want. I don't need any of the rest of this. And then he tells her, no, like it doesn't matter, you're a Targaryen, this is what your life is meant to be. And so the House of the Red Door is this like unreachable goal. It is the home that she never gets to return to because, again, as I've stated, like I don't believe that her arc ever ends like in a happy way, whether it's, her dying during the long night or her like losing it in King's Landing, whatever. Like she doesn't get to go home, and the House of the Red Door is the symbol of that. It's a symbol of that tragedy. I rewatched some old Lemon Tree Theory videos on here that I'd seen forever ago, and one of them from a great creator, JJ, really struck me because in it, she said something that just like, ugh. rips your heart out. But she said that there is no place in the world for Daenerys. Daenerys is a Targaryen, out of time. She doesn't get to be at the height of their power when they had family, when they had like connection with each other. She is forever like separate. She is this lonely Targaryen at the edge of the world who doesn't get to go home because there is no home for her. And with that said, thought everyone go give yourself a hug. Okay, goodbye.